Hello everyone, this is Amisha and today we would be discussing the questions which have occurred from the subject of science and technology, especially in GS3 of Mains 2024. So before we begin, I would like you to know the fact that in UPSC there is no one specific correct answer. You can articulate your thoughts in various different ways. But of course, there is incorrect answers, which happens especially when you miss the context. In science and technology, majorly questions are derived out of current affairs, which are then correlated with the basics. But in general, you still have to be aware of the day-to-day facts or events in the field of science and technology so that you are updated with the news and you can write your answers better. Let's move on to the first question, which reads, explain the role of millets for ensuring health and nutritional security in India. So over here, you could observe that there are two things. One, the central theme is around millets, and then they're asking about its role in the health and nutritional security of India. So over here, the standard form of writing an answer is in the form of introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, the introduction can be written in multiple ways. For the introduction, either you can define millets or you can provide a context. Now, herein, either you can start by mentioning that millets are actually coarse grains which can be grown on grasses. It is a kind of a hardy crop and it can grow easily without much requirement of irrigation. And then after a definition, you obviously have to quote examples wherein you can add about jawar, bajra, ragi, etc. Coming up to the context, one can definitely think of why this question must have been asked. Well, then you can always point out towards the fact that 2023 is the International Year of Millets thanks to India's efforts. But at the same time, you can see that even the budget has mentioned millets in the form of Shri Anna. Herein, a lot of policies were taken up in order to promote the millet culture. You can also observe that during G20, all the international guests were served recipes made out of millet. Okay, now coming up to what could be in the body. The first part of the body should be determining the health and nutritional insecurity in India. You need to understand that herein you have to quote facts. So health as per the WHO means a state of total physical, mental and social well-being. Herein, in order to be physically fit, a person has to have nutritional security in the form of minerals, nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, etc. Now, in terms of India, we have hunger. In order to address the hunger, we tend to eat. Now, because of what we are eating, our diet is mainly confined towards the wheat-rye staple, because of which we have a carbohydrate-rich diet, which is causing a lot of problems. Because of the carbohydrate-rich diet, we are lacking, firstly, proteins in our diet. India is one of the countries with the least amount of proteins in our diet, and a lot of people in India are protein deficient. And then we have a deficiency of micronutrients. These micronutrients are inclusive of various nutrients including copper, iron, magnesium, calcium, etc. You can quote data here that about 1/5 of Indian children are malnourished, and on top of that, we are also facing a lot of diseases which especially occurs because of lack of immunity. Immunity in itself is maintained because of micronutrients, lack of which will definitely result in an impaired immune system and hence more vulnerability towards the disease. Now let us focus again on the carbs-rich diet. Because of processed, ultra-processed and high in carbs diet that we are eating, it often happens that obesity in India is increasing by the day. Further, we are also facing a lot of lifestyle diseases. Lifestyle diseases including diabetes, hypertension, hypothyroidism and much more. So as we have seen that the overall health in India is affected, especially because of lack in appropriate nutrients and micronutrients. Now, the good thing is that we have something called millets. Although millets is called the poor man's food, and yet this humble food is of utmost importance in India's diet. Before the Green Revolution, millets had a significant share in India's dietary consumption, but we had to feed our population, and that is why Green Revolution was also essential. But now we are moving towards a millet revolution. Millets are highlighted because firstly, millet has a lot of fiber. Fiber, which is also referred to as roughage, is extremely important for your diet because it will help you in digesting your food better. Better digested food means appropriate absorption of nutrients, which will then contribute towards your health. Secondly, some millets are really rich in iron. Coming to the data point, you should know that about 50% of women in reproductive age in India are anemic. If women of the society have problems with regards to their health, then definitely it is passed on to the children and the upcoming generation is not healthy. So, iron is one of the most important components in one's diet and which can also be fulfilled with the help of appropriate millet. Next comes calcium. Lack of calcium causes a lot of diseases, especially in older women and men, like osteoporosis, weakness of bones, and much more. This can be addressed especially with the help of millets, which is rich in calcium. And of course, there will be a lot more other nutrients which would be present within the millets to help you get a holistic meal. So herein, inclusion of millets in your diet will help you derive a lot of micronutrients. Apart from micronutrients, you also have to know that because of the high fiber content, the glycemic index of millets is really low. So, whenever you eat some food, it tends to increase your blood sugar. Because of this increase in blood sugar, there is a problem in your body that the body might sometimes be able to metabolize the sugar. If this pathway is incorrectly observed, then people might get insulin resistance and which can further translate into type 2 diabetes. In order to curb the same, fiber is a must. Now, because of inclusion of appropriate amount of fiber in millet, the glycemic index of millet is lower compared to that of wheat and rice, which means that even diabetic people can consume millets in a better way and healthy people should consume millets so that they do not get diabetic in future. Further, you also have to know that millet will have one more added benefit. That is the fact that gluten is a kind of protein which would cause diseases in some people who are allergic to it. For example, our very own Miss Universe, Miss Harnas Sandhu, had a problem with gluten and that is why she had a celiac disease. Now, people with celiac disease or even people with gluten allergy can easily consume millet and avoid bloating of any kind. So, long story short, in a country like India, which is the most populated in the world, we need more and more food to feed our people. Now, millet is obvious way out because millet will also be a climate change resistant crop because it can grow even in water deficient areas like whether Marathwada and much more. Further, it can help the Indian population receive the required amount of nutrients from a decent amount of proportion and it can help us lead towards a healthy lifestyle. So this can be your conclusion or you can come up with whatever you like. You can also include SDG 1, SDG 2, etc.